So I'm Haraman Johal. I work at ONI as a data scientist. I would say that at school, I first got into science. I was studying kind of A-levels, and the physics and maths curriculum really appealed to me. I wanted to use the science to build things, and actually I took a product design course as well, and there I actually got to use the science to build things like a record player that I kind of resurrected from this broken heap of electronics. I worked with this technician in the school to build an amplifier from scratch and then wire it all together, and it was this kind of magical moment when it all started working again. And that's really where I had this moment where I was like, I can use this science in the real world to do actual useful things. And that was the moment where I thought, this is meaningful knowledge that I can actually apply to solve interesting problems. My favorite thing about being a scientist is that I get to work in this team of people. And I think that for all scientists, this is true. You may be in a very narrow field in a lab somewhere, holed away in a university, but in reality, you're part of a much larger team. And whether you're collaborating directly or building on this world of research that's already out there, you're kind of drawing on these expertise, these fields in like so many different parts of the knowledge of humanity. At ONI, it's really nice because we have chemists, biologists, physicists working together. We have software developers, we have production specialists, and all of these different types of disciplines are coming together to build a technique and a product which is at the forefront of what's possible in imaging. I really like thinking about this kind of software and this kind of hidden world of code that I work on as kind of the cathedrals that are hidden inside everyday objects. So when you look out at an impressive building, you can see every brick that's gone in, every kind of beautiful carving, every structural piece. But the reality is every time you click through things on your phone or on your computer, you're also looking at just the tips of these towers that are the parts that you get to appreciate, and underneath are hundreds of millions of years of human effort just to kind of get to this point to build the different pieces of technology which will fit together so that at this moment you can watch your YouTube video of a cat, right? So all of these things fit together, and I think looking into the code and understanding what's happening under the surface gives me kind of a new appreciation of how much these different scientists are working together to kind of, not necessarily for praise or for recognition, but just to contribute to this large body of human knowledge. And working together like that is the very satisfying thing about being a scientist, I think. If I had superpowers, looking at the scientific community, the one thing that I'd probably change is how these teams work together. So I'm a big fan of how scientists kind of collaborate and how they are able to build on each other's knowledge. But if you think about this huge structure of labs and universities and different people working on sometimes the same problems, sometimes different problems, there's a lot of inefficiency in how we talk to each other about that. So a lot of data is kind of kept under close lock and key. There's a lot of repetition of experiments and rediscovery of things that we already knew as a collective group. So if there was some way where we could kind of centralize this knowledge in a way that's common to all scientists, that really allows everyone to build on a common basis. And rather than all starting from different points on the start line, we kind of all bring everyone up to the same position, and then anything we do will actually be new and useful and contributing to kind of the central body. I often ask people to think about why they got into science, and the first thing that I think a lot of starry-eyed children think is there is this scientific journey out into the unknown. And all of these scientists around the world are working on the same team to push back this boundary and to explore more. But when you actually arrive in the world of science, this kind of is not exactly lined up with reality, right? We want to have these scientists working in a way that's really, collectively pushing forward. But in reality, they're all pushing in slightly different directions, and sometimes they're unaware of what the implications of each other's work, right? So if there was a better coordination of this central knowledge and how it might impact like each scientist's everyday work, then I think we could be even more effective and even more directed towards the discoveries that matter. So my curiosity has so far taken me through lots of adventures in maths and science and engineering. But one thing that I recently started to have a growing appreciation for is art and drawing. So I've been getting more into depicting the human body, and I've been learning a lot through life drawing. And it kind of struck me as interesting that the people who are the most world experts on anatomy tend to be doctors on one hand, and on the other hand, artists who draw the human body. And that kind of weird overlap is kind of appealing to me, because in kind of an unusual way, through art, you're understanding that biological world in a way that you can't if you don't have that kind of education, right? So you could go through and study like the skeleton, the muscles and so on, and from a medical point of view, but you can also approach it just from a depiction point of view. And you get to, in these life classes, look at so many different kinds of bodies, like how the human form can vary across the world, across different ages and so on. And all these bodies say something about us as a human race. So you get to kind of see an insight into, what is it that makes each of these people human? What makes them different? And what do they have that's common that you can kind of draw out in your sketches or something like that? So I'm finding this a really interesting avenue of discovery. I'm quite interested to see how my understanding of that art and that drawing kind of evolves as we go forward.